Hey folks, this is Bailey from Dank Wargaming,
Hey, this is Heath with Team Table War.
and welcome to the Path to Redemption, the Warhammer 40,000 Dark Angels podcast, where our aim is to provide Dark Angels players with the tactical and hobby skills that they need in order to enjoy this wonderful hobby of ours. In this bonus episode on the balanced data slate that dropped earlier this week, Heath and I here, we're going to dive into these updates for Warhammer 40,000 and let you know how it changes how Dark Angels are going to play going into the new Space Marine Codex and hopefully into what the next balanced beta slate is actually going to drop before our Codex drops, right? So this will be
It'll be like first quarter, I think, probably 2024. So yeah,
okay.
so much balance. Lady
All right.
Justice, she is blind. So
All right,
anyway,
let's do it.
yeah. Well, so first things first, I think. I think to me, okay, I think there's two really big changes that really are going to change how the game is played and how people build lists. And the first one's the change. Okay, I guess. Okay, fine, three. Right. The first one is the change to devastating wounds. Right.
Yes.
So if you're listening to this podcast, you're probably well aware of what the change was. Right. But devastating wounds are basically now a third type of damage other than normal damage and mortal wounds. So instead of causing mortal wounds, they just are unsavable damage. Right. The upside to that being that they are really good. They'll just bypass all damage, but they don't overflow to allow you to just wipe out a whole squad of stuff.
Right. Right.
Yeah. So that was what was your initial reaction to that change, which seems to be mostly targeted at Eldar, to be blunt.
Well, the big change there is one of the fun things that I was doing when I was playing with the Lion at the GT last month was you pop the 4-up mortal wound defense or feel no pain against mortal wounds on the Lion,
Yeah.
and you try and turn off a lot of these devastating wound weapons. Well, now that doesn't work anymore.
No, it doesn't work anymore. I agree.
And then going into matchups against Custodes or something like that, where they are like, "Aha! Look at me! I can ignore everything you do, and I have a feel no pain against the one thing it gets around all of my other defenses, which is mortal wounds." Well, now they don't have that anymore. So I think that going into the matchup against Custodes, things are going to change, and then also the number of them that are going of those players are going to change. In addition to all the other changes they had in terms of unit size, which we'll get to our own changes in unit size here in a little bit. Because that hurts me exponentially in what I was going to do for Tampa. But yeah, having this new kind of damage is really going to change a lot of the defenses because now there's no defense against it, right? There were some built-in natural defenses for devastating wounds to balance them, and now they're gone because there's no defense against this outside. Well, you would have regular feel no pains. You still
regular
get those,
feel no pains. So the thing that kind of gets me about it is the Dark Angels were tuned in to be able to have a lot of defense against mortal wounds, which turns out to be really good. Maybe that's why some of our stuff got cheaper, because they realized that the utility of being able to summon a Watcher in the Dark just isn't really there anymore. Or it's just super niche edge case. Okay, I think a good way to frame this: what does do mortal wounds now that devastating wounds no longer plays into that? Deadly Demise, is one of them. I'm having a hard time coming up with anything else that's common.
Units that do stuff on the charge, like some of the squig hogs that I ran into. They do them on the charge. Brutalis does mortal wounds on the charge. So there's some things there.
Tank shocks do mortal wounds, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So there's something there. All right. Okay, you've somewhat turned me around. It's a little. I was thinking, look, if I have a Watcher in the Dark solely to protect me against my transport exploding. Come on, guys.
Yeah.
That being said, I had a Land Raider Redeemer explode next to me last night.
And that did a lot of
damage. But okay. Anyway, so that's a big change. Mostly it's going to rein in things that just splash mortal wounds everywhere, which is Wraith stuff, Eldar.
Right.
This does affect one thing I was doing. So I had two little kind of cute tech pieces that I was playing with, one of which was a Thunderhammer Bite Captain with a squad of Black Knights. So when he charges a monster or vehicle, he just, here's a crap ton of mortal wounds. And that will still work, and it will still be effective because the anti-vehicle or monster trigger is going to do what this intends it to do, and it's not. It was never going to like overflow and slay a bunch of little just
Right.
gribblies. Now, what does if you get affected by that is, I don't know if I talked to you about this, Bailey, but a gentleman I ran into out in Virginia threw this idea out there. Take your firstborn captain, you give him a pair of lightning claws, and then you Heavenfall Blade the lightning claws, so they're 2 damage.
Oh,
Right,
okay.
and
I see
then
this is going.
so he's, Sword Lightning Claws are 6 attacks base. Heavenfall now they're 7, right? And then when he throws Finest Hour, which is his data sheet ability, he gets +3 attacks, +1 strength, and devastating wounds, right? And the Lightning Claws have reroll wounds natively, so now he's 10 attacks at strength 7 with devastating wounds and a reroll that doesn't require Oath of Moment. So he just goes into something and just blends, right? And if God forbid he's battle shocked, it's even worse.
Yeah, because now he's got 3 damage, right? Because he's adding
It's
2
3
to
damage,
everything.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I have had this happen once. I put this guy in a list just to be cute, just to see what happened, and I put this captain leading a 10-man tactical squad into a rhino, and on turn 1 the rhino got blown up by a Baneblade. They all jump out, and now they're battle shocked because they jump out of a rhino, and then they got charged by a unit of 3 scout sentinels, and God help me, that captain just straight slayed everything. Like, I was like, okay, here's 11 attacks, because once again, +1 because of the battle shock. Okay, make 5 saves at -2, 3 damage each, and here's 12 mortal wounds. He's like, wait, what? Yeah. So, oh my god.
Yep.
Now, in this particular case, that would still work for the most part because it's a vehicle and it's going to stack, but it wouldn't overflow. What I had kind of envisioned that was like go into a squad of like Necrons and just snippety snip, and they all go bitty bye, right? But
Right.
oh well, not going to happen anymore. That being said, it would still be good into like Lich Guard because you're going to wound them on 4s, right, with a reroll, and hit them. And anyway, so yeah. Overall, this is probably good for the game. Looking at the points changes on Dark Angels, a lot of the stuff that has the Watchers did go down in points, like 5 or 10. So maybe they're discounting that based on the loss utility there. But yeah. So that being said, I this makes the Lion a lot harder to play because the stuff that's going to get shot at him, he has no defense against now. Whereas previously he did have a defense against devastating wounds, and now he doesn't. So that sucks. Whatever. Maybe they'll change some verbiage when the codex comes out, but we'll see. Just got to get better about your lone operating. So,
yep, play better, Francis. That just seems to be the mantra, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Get good, scrub. Stop sucking.
Going along with talking about the dev wound guns, the towering and line of sight changed. So now the ruins block line of sight for the big scary towering knights and wraith knights unless they toe tap into them. And so basically towering gives you the old line of sight rules where they're allowed to toe tap into buildings when other things aren't and shoot in and out and around them. So that will help a little bit with being able to hide from things, because now you can hide from them again, and that will make it easier to get things up the board. You don't have to feel bad of, oh, I didn't get to go first, so half my army's going to be dead before I even get to go. Because when I played that GT, I ran into round 1. I ran into the Wraith Knight list, and basically it walked out from behind its ruins and went, hello, bang, 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 and I was like, oh, that is
good
one
night,
of those
sweet prince.
Yep, it's one of those matchups where I told the guy afterwards, because he ended up winning the whole tournament, and I was like, you know what? That's one of those things where I just have to go, you know what? It doesn't matter when I die or where I die, because I'm going to die anyway. I should just put everything on the line and come at you and hope that I at least get to play with my models a little bit. And he's like, yeah, you probably should have tried to do that. Because I didn't realize with the night spinners, those things slow your movement. So like all my stuff I hid never got out in position. So I was
That
like, yeah,
sucks.
I should just
Yeah.
charge him. But anyway, uh, don't have to worry about that as
Okay.
much from the Wraith Knight now. So
Overall,
it'll be interesting.
what do you think? Good, bad. Effect on the game overall.
I think it's going to be a positive, net positive because it's going to allow terrain to matter a little bit more. And then with the dev wounds, I think it's going to force people to actually find other things to play with because instead of just going here's my mortal wound spam, it's going to force you to do some other things, change things up. Uh, because I have some buddies that I play with, they're like, if I wanted to play mortal wound spam, I'd play Age of Sigmar. And it's like I don't want
I
to play
agree.
Mortal Wounds spam, which is why
Yeah.
I play 40k, and that's all. That's what Dev Wounds did to the game. That's what they've been very upset with about 10th, and they were hoping something like this would happen to kind of keep them interested in the game because they're like, I might as well just go play Sigmar because it's got more rule books out and it's better balanced at this point. At least that's their
I
opinion.
do. I do think I said on like our first, maybe second, 10th edition episode that devastating wounds were going to be the key mechanic. And that has so it's been fixed, right? I think one of the
Right.
things that balances devastating wounds in Sigmar is that it's not really a shooting game. And the thing that there was a long time where the best list was the snakes that shot arrows at you and did
Rathian
mortal
the Bow
wounds.
Snakes.
Yeah, there we go. So anyway, hey, when you're playing 40k in Sigmar, then
Yeah,
40k
exactly.
in the Sigmar setting, then yeah, look, when you can ignore people's saves entirely and splash damage over at range, obviously it's going to be better. But anyway, I was initially like, wait, why they're changing a core mechanic of the game to address one faction? And then I thought about it, and I was like, okay, all right, yeah, maybe this is smarter than I realized. Maybe I'm not seeing the whole picture, but so do you think that this change to towering changes the value proposition of where all those Titanic or towering models were? Like, do they need to come down in points because they can no longer ignore intervening terrain?
So this is something that, and I'm just gonna
I know the
give
Long
credit where
War had a
credit
big
is due.
conversation about this,
Yeah,
but yeah,
that
and
I
I don't want to
listened to
rehash
that.
all that,
Right.
but
I
yeah,
think Rob, if you watched it, Rob Bear's point of knights are getting double, triple, quadruple whammied. I think that's a fair statement that there's there because they got points increases and they got this new towering rule or line of sight rule, and it's like yeah, but at the same time, like that's what happens in this game. Something is bad and they overcorrect. Things get overcorrected and they kind of slowly wean things back. And at the end of the day, it's easy to just next balanced data slate give knights
turn it. Yeah, I
a
I
points
think
drop.
I think that that's a great point, assuming that everything was pointed correctly to begin with, and I don't think that's the case.
Right.
The Knights were pointed very aggressively to begin with, so we'll see. We'll see how it do.
Yeah.
And I mean, and honestly, the thing that's going to hurt the Knights more than a change to how their Titanic models work is probably the 10 to 15 point increases on each armature, because that's really what
Yeah.
makes Knights scary to me. Is like the 10 or like 8 to 10 armature holes they can take, which
Right.
yeah. Anyway, so I actually played against Knights on Wednesday, and I did fairly well with the list I'll talk about. But anyway, so okay. Other than towering, the last thing I think is the change to okay. It was phrased as the change to free stratagems and how things that discount CP or get to use free
Mm-hmm.
stratagems work. And it was pointed out to me by a friend of mine who is very smart and I respect very much. He's like, it's interesting that the thing they spend the most time thinking about internally, apparently, wasn't like the towering or the devastating wounds. It was CP economy. And I guess if you look at it and you say, okay, I haven't been lining up to abuse this, and I don't know anybody that was, but apparently, if you just stack a whole bunch of free of captains and stuff into your list, that's four, three, four, five free stratagems a game, right?
Right.
And which could be things like Overwatch, which basically turns their movement phase into your shooting phase. So I think that this is actually a subtly very smart and very important change to the game, combined with the change to Overwatch, where you have to have line of sight to do it.
Yeah. See, that was the thing where like it never dawned on me that I would just overwatch things with indirect fire, And yeah, that's something that, like, if somebody did that to
Mm.
me the first time, I'd be like, what are you talking about? Like, I would, that's
Yeah.
like, I would admit myself would have been instantly salty, because like when I read it, I'm like, wait, people were actually doing that. Wow, that would have, that's some,
Well, it's
that
once
like
again,
death dagger stares at the table. I'm not gonna lie.
it's a permissive rule set. It doesn't say it can't, so it doesn't.
No,
So
it's
so
fair.
therefore you can. I will say one of the things that. So once again, my most frequent opponent probably is Joe, who plays Necrons, and he was abusing this free strategy mechanic to the nines, because every single time you shoot at a Necron unit, it is going to get it is going to reanimate for free. He's going to reanimate on one unit, and then he's going to reanimate on this unit for free, right? And that unit is going to reanimate basically 2d3 plus anywhere from 3 to 6 wounds every single time you shoot at it. You shoot at once, he'll spend a CP to do it. You shoot it again, he'll do it for free, and it's just so the and I played him last night, and it was with the new data slate in play, and it really, like, the stuff was still very durable, but it wasn't feel bad durable. Like,
Gotcha.
I was able to kill a blob of warriors, right? And I got the Lich Guard down to 1 or 2 models, and he just did some really smart movement to get my second Hellblaster unit from pointing at him. But I think this is a really smart change. In addition to this they made it so you can only do stuff for free that is a battle tactic.
Yes.
So what do we have that is a battle tactic, Bailey?
So looking at the Gladius Task Force,
Okay.
the battle tactic ones in there are Honor the Chapter, which is the Lance ability with the extra AP if you're an Assault Doctrine. Armor of
Yeah.
Contempt is a battle tactic. And then Storm of Fire, which is the ignores cover, and if you're in Devastator Doctrine, get extra AP. That's also a battle tactic. So that's just
Yeah.
for the Gladius Task Force. So those three are there. And then for Dark Angels in the Unforgiven, battle tactic is Unforgiven Fury, Armor of Contempt again, Fire Discipline, which is the one where you get Assault Heavy and ignore cover. And then that's it. Oh no, Unbreakable Lines is
Unbreakable
also a
line.
battle tactic. So,
Yeah.
but sadly, the ones I like using the most are not battle tactics. They're strategic ploys. The Grim Retribution and Intractable. Because, yeah, getting to Grim Retribution twice in a turn would be pretty silly.
Ugh. Yeah. But hey, my favorite stratagems are the Unforgiven Fury, the Fire Discipline, right? And then Unbreakable Line, right? And from the main deck, it is, I think, the Command Reroll is a battle tactic. And what's the other one?
That's a good question.
Sorry, I got the little yoink cards.
Yeah, no worries. I mean, there's so many cards.
Choose your ploy. Go to ground. That's it. So from the core, it's go to ground and battle tactics. Or is it go to ground and strategic reroll, right? And they changed the category of some units or some armies stratagems, because they don't want them to be used in that way, right? So, for example, the Necron reanimate one, they is a strategic ploy, right? And I don't remember exactly which ones they changed with their units, but anyway, so yeah, I think that's another probably very good healthy change. I don't know if you listened to the actual, like, sit down video with the lead designer on
I had not had a
YouTube.
chance to do that yet. No.
So he explained that the battle tactics are supposed to represent things that your army does commonly, whereas other stuff is supposed to represent, like, once per game cinematic moments, right? The epic deed or the strategic ploy.
Right, that makes sense.
They want you to use battle tactics commonly because they're supposed to be a key component of how that army fights. The other ones are not, so that's why they changed it. I was like, okay, once again, interesting. Maybe more of a predictive change. As some other, they said, maybe they're looking one tier down the list and say, once we make these changes, a way to abuse the next thing that may be a problem is, many free strategies you can get. So, whatever.
That makes sense. I like. I mean, and I like that idea that, like Grim Retribution is something that it's supposed to be that, last gambit, last chance, pull it out of the hat.
Mm-hmm.
brilliant strategist of Azrael or the Lion himself. He's like, you guys are going to do this one thing, and it's going to change the course of history forever. Right? You
Get
don't
them,
want that
boys. Yeah.
being spammed. And it's like, yeah, because then the people don't want stuff getting spammed because then things get stale.
Come on, you sons of bitches. Do you want to live forever?
Yeah, exactly. So,
All right.
God, I was just talking about that this week. I got the flag up in my living room over my TV now too from mobile infantry. Uh,
So
uh,
that's actually a real quote from it was a Marine. It was a Marine sergeant at in not Pelennor Woods. It was a World War. It was from World War One.
okay.
Yeah. So uh, there's a reason the Congressional Medal of Honor is only allowed to be awarded once. It's because of this guy. Anyway,
All
go
right,
look it
that
up.
makes sense.
It's a cool story. All right. So any other big changes before we move on to the crunchy points?
To me, the big change for me, because this is what's been sitting on my paint desk over here, um, off screen, is they changed how many of these go in a squad now. The
The
Desolation Squad guys.
Desolators. Oh
So
no.
I would, because
I'm so sorry.
my list for Tampa was going to
Oh, it
be 10
sucks.
Hellblasters, an Apothecary, and Azrael, and then I was going to run Gladius and run 10 Desolation Marines, a Librarian with a Sustained Hits upgrade, and then it was basically all buff units to just buff those two big blobs. And now that Desolation Marines are now only 5-man squads, uh,
And they're more
I've
expensive.
and more
They're up
expensive.
to
They added,
200 points per.
yep,
Yeah, 200 points per 5. But yeah,
plus 30 points for the squad. And the fun part is I've never played with them because everyone's talked about how oppressive. Like it's one of those things like you put it on the board and people are like, "Oh, I guess you didn't want to be friends now, did you?" Like
I
from the
guess
Stick
you're
of
one
Truth
of
or
those
whatever.
people.
Yeah, so I've
Yeah,
never played with them. I've got 5 painted from when we had the hobby challenge. I built and started painting these 5 for Tampa next month, and now it's like, well, I don't know if I want to do that. Now, I don't feel like they're unplayable. I still feel like they have a lot of utility in what they can do. It's just the mentality change that I've been thinking about is you're going to want to run a lot of the things that buff units by picking a certain particular enemy target and putting debuffs on the target so that your multiple squads of 5 still get buffs to then target it. So, like the Incursor is giving +1 to hit against an enemy unit, or the Lieutenant
good point.
in with the combi
Good
weapon
point.
picking an objective and everything that shoots its
Yeah,
stuff on the objective, or the land speeders giving -1 to hit, -1 AP,
yeah.
ignore cover, or +1 to wound against monsters and vehicles. And like you're going to have to lean into those kinds of buffs and debuff a particular enemy and then hit them with multiple desolation squads instead of souping up one desolation squad with your battle tactics or with a character. Because I still feel like having the 5 rockets and then having potentially up to the 5 big rockets or 4 and then the Venger and then the little Castellan launchers, those are still going to be useful going into matchups where there's going to be large hordes, which apparently one of my buddies I just gave a army box of Leagues of Votann to as like a helping hand. I guess he's going to pay me back for it, which is very kind of him. He's like, they just became a horde army. So like when you see space dwarves now, there's just going to be a bunch of them. So having the
Yeah.
ability to start kind of mass blowing things up with blast is still going to be important. And having Desolation Marines to do that, I think, is going to matter. It's just I'm not going to have that one super squad that I buff and then it goes out and deletes everything in front of it. I got to be a little more tactical with it. So that's
Yeah.
sort of my point on that.
I think that I think that NIDS, because their codex is coming out, we might see
Right.
that.
Oh yeah,
Even though the
definitely.
NID Crusher Stampede looks like scary as hell, but yeah. Look, I mean, they're so expensive for they may have been pointed into oblivion. I think that limiting them to 5. I don't know. We'll have to see how it goes. Um, because I think that limiting to 5 really changes the value add of the one character you put into them.
Right.
So they probably could have sustained that without the point rise as well. But once again, they'll patented GW double tap. So we'll see what it does. And I think that we saw a list with 2 squads of 5 because of the double Vengor launcher was
Yep.
really attractive. But I don't know if I'm going to pay 400 points for 2 squads of 5. So anyway, yeah.
So
Okay,
and
well, so your list get hit by anything else from this data slate?
so this is where things get interesting when we're ready to talk about points. Is that basically anywhere I lost points, I gained points, and I still think at the end, if I'd gone through and pointed everything out, uh, things probably would have evened out. So like
Okay.
things like so we got the top of our list here. Ezreal went down 15 points.
Hell yeah, he did. It's my
Yeah,
boy.
right.
Azrael at
So
105, giving a whole squad an invul save and a free CP and sustain hits. God, you're like
oh yeah,
crazy not to include him. It's so good. Anyway, okay. Ooh, yeah.
but then
There
like
you go.
my land speeders both went up 10 points each. So the
So
Thunder Strike and the
the
Hail
Thunder
Strike.
Strike so the Thunder Strike is now 170 and the
Yes.
Hail Strike is 140
Yep, from
because it was
130.
130 before. Yeah, yeah. So I still like the Thunder Strike at 170. I think
Oh
that
yeah.
its +1 to wound is very valuable. Uh,
Oh yeah.
because it turns your Hellblasters slash aggressors into a anti-infantry weapon. Sorry, into an anti-vehicle weapon. It's a key piece of synergy for the lists I've been running in the last month or two. I'm a big fan. So I
One.
did build a Hail Strike and I primed it. It's on my desk, but that's all I got.
I
That's
still
how
feel
far I
like
got
it's
so
gonna
far.
have. I still think it's gonna have value though, because if we're gonna see more Leagues of Votann, where they still have Armor of Contempt, don't they? In some fashion.
No, they
No.
don't.
Okay.
They have a stratagem to do armor contempt.
Okay.
Um, but it's not a universal like an army wide rule.
Okay.
So, um, yeah.
But still having that
So
-1 ping from the Hail Strike, I think is still valuable, because if you have a lot of bolters or storm bolters, you're going to be able to ping that, and then shooting into big things like with Hell
yeah,
Blasters, you can get their AP up even higher, so they can fight like the Knights or Redemptors or other heavier armored things. Land Raider that's got a
there's
2-up
a
save.
there's a lot of stuff that like the Hellblasters will put you on your invul save for a lot of stuff anyway. But yeah, I think that they're a really interesting thing that will turn your small guns into something even more dangerous, right? Or like I said, just being able to say, hey, you don't get a save at all. Um, and there are like if you think about it, -1 additional -1 AP is effectively ignores cover. Uh,
Right.
so and then when you
Well,
combine it with if you're running it as the Dark Angels detachment instead of Gladius, you can combine it with the 1 CP Fire Discipline stratagem and get out of here. That's ignore cover and -1 AP. That's great. That's real good. Or if you're playing in the Space Marines, that's going to basically offset armor contempt. So
yep. So it still has utility, I think,
yeah,
even at 140.
140 is. I think there's lists that it's gonna be worth it. 140 is high, but I think it's worth it still. So it's interesting at that price. I don't think it's pointed out of oblivion. 130 was really good. I hadn't actually played one yet because I had to finish it. But can I tell you about a unit that I am excited about
Oh, go for it.
the
Go
point
for it,
change on?
Heath. Go, go, go.
So I've been playing with Land Raiders. So the Land Raider, the Godhammer pattern, went up 10 points from 230 to 240. But let me tell you what they did to the Land Raider Redeemer. It went from 295 down to 260.
Ooh, it's aggressive.
Why is that interesting, you may ask? Well, two reasons. One, the Land Raider Redeemer has a capacity of 14 models instead of 12, so you can fit 6 aggressors and an apothecary biologus in there, which we saw the one gentleman from Poland do. And that I have played with that unit a couple times now, and it is terrifying. Oh my god, it is so good. I tore a Knight Dominus down to like 8 wounds with that one
Nice.
unit. And then Hellblasters finished it off. I shot a unit of a fully buffed up with all the trimmings unit of Necron Warriors just gone off the board. Right? Holy crap, it's good. And then also, it's really nice to have 2 of those big Flamestorm cannons on the table, which is something that you're going to end up in being in the middle of the table that can overwatch really effectively for 1 CP.
Oh yeah.
So at 260, it's really good. I think it's really interesting. That being said, I'm considering dropping back to the regular Land Raider in my list because I need more ranged anti-tank. But if you haven't, if you have one, or you can swap the guns out on a Land Raider, give it a crack. At 260, it is a bargain. Yeah.
Alrighty.
What else you got?
So infiltrators went up 10 points. Not surprised there because of what they can do.
Totally worth it. All day long.
Yeah,
100 points.
I'm still taking
Absolutely.
them. Well, and then so many other things have been aggressively like dropped 10 points. So like so you might have heard me talk about this unit a lot during the spring, but suppressors are now down to 85 points.
Okay.
For 3 guys. And so they're going in back into my Tampa list. And one of the reasons I want to put them in my Tampa list is they got cheaper. They're deep strike. They're fast. They have range, so I can kind of bring them in the back and shoot things at range. They have a -1 to hit debuff on them. And if you go and look at all the like Inceptors, for example, they took their shots from having 2 D3 pistols to now it's just pistol 2 with twin linked. And you go across the board with bikes and things. Aggressors, right? Things lost attacks a lot from last edition. Suppressors are one of the only units that I've noticed that their rate of fire did not drop. And their gun actually got an extra point of strength going into this edition because they're now strength 8 instead of strength 7. So they're actually one of the only guns that actually got buffed.
Okay.
Going into the new edition and didn't lose rate of fire. And now that unit is cheaper. And if you throw a hail strike in there, now they're -2 at 2 damage each. It's strength 8, 3 shots at range. I think it's still 48. It might be down to 36.
You don't say.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
It is heavy.
That's really cool.
Ballistic skill 4 with heavy, though. So, if you drop them in, you're only hitting on 4s. But if you can camp them somewhere, now they're hitting on 3s again.
Okay.
But they just have to hit something, and then they can give it -1 to hit. And if I remember correctly, it doesn't have a keyword tag. Like, you just ping something and it gets suppressed. I'll double check that here in a second. But I remember looking at that and going, well, that's dirty. I just got to ping the knight, and now the knight has -1 to hit. Why aren't more people going in on this? Let me double check that. But yeah, no, that was good to the assault intercessors. I think assault intercessors are getting slept on in a way because now that they're even cheaper, you throw a librarian or in there with, now they have a 4-up invuln, or you throw Azrael in there, now they have a 4-up invuln and sustained hits. And you have all these guys with chain swords, a thunderhammer on the sergeant. They've got 2 wounds, strength 4, sustained hits, 3, and they're just throwing their weight around. Because
that could be interesting. I had to look it up. That's really cool. I actually like that a lot. Putting them in a Land Raider might be spicy. Okay,
you can put all of them in that Redeemer.
so like you could put a lieutenant. You could put an apothecary with Azrael and 10 assault intercessors, or a lieutenant to give them lethal hits.
You put stubborn tenacity in there so that once you lose one of them, then all of a sudden they have +1 to hit, and then they get down to get battle shocked, and now they have +1 to wound.
Oh boy. Oh boy. Like, knock me out of this Land Raider, I freaking dare you.
Yep.
Okay. So like, yeah, the Land Raiders, so they can okay. Now we're starting to You've put a bug in my head. God dang it. One of the things Joe always says about me is that like I never stick on the same list for more than like a week or two. I'm always so it's probably like if I had just stick to the same list for weeks, I would probably develop a lot more proficiency with it. But stuff like this, Bailey, God dang it, is okay. I will try that at some point because that sounds too fun not to try. But yeah, we'll do. Okay. Anyway, moving on. Okay. What else you got?
Dreadnoughts. Dreadnoughts went down almost across the board. I was really excited about that. Most of all.
Right. The Brutalis from 220 down to 175 is really good. And I've got one who's base now. He's primed, but he's not painted. I have a vision in my head of, I think I mentioned this an episode or two ago, just a big phalanx of dreadnoughts moving forward with a dark shroud behind them to give them an additional +1 armor save and -1 to hit.
Yep, that'd be fun.
Saving, so yeah, they're saving on. It's like they basically have a 1-up save, and yeah, oh my god. But anyway, the bot, like, I don't know. I imagine that when the Space Marine Codex comes out, the box knot's not gonna be in there anymore. The Castroferin pattern, like classic box dreadnought, like the ones behind those guys. But
Right.
they have a reroll 1 to hit aura, which honestly is real good. And if I could reliably put that next to, anyway, yeah. So they're probably going to go away, but there you go. And the ballistas went down. Ballistas at 150 is also really good. That's a lot of good shooting platform.
Okay, I haven't built mine yet. That's on my list.
The ballista said, mine's like, it's 3 colored in. It's not done, but yeah. And the Redemptor went down to 210. I'm still not sure if I'm completely onto the Redemptor at 210. I think it needs to go probably a little cheaper than that because it lost almost all of its anti-tank efficacy because its plasma gun's not high enough strength anymore. But
that's why you go punch the tanks. I've had a lot of success punching tanks.
Truth, you could just punch the tanks and that would work. But
no, yeah. So I'm going to give up on the plasma cannon and go try them out with the.
I think that's probably a better
minigun,
yeah.
Because when he gets charged,
or if you do, go ahead.
I was going to say, every time I played with him where he gets charged by a squad of more than 10 things, he can't shoot them with the plasma cannon, and he's got to sit there and kind of punch them. And if you're fighting like Necrons or Guardsmen that can come back, like Kriegers, you can't punch enough of them to make them all go away before he just brings them back. So you have to send something in to help clear them out. But if I had the minigun, then I could just dump everything into them and then punch them, and then they just die.
Yeah. So that also might be a reason to put they can take a flamer instead of, well, no, the other onslaught cannon. That thing can have an onslaught cannon and a heavy onslaught cannon, which is like 20 shots that can generate devastating wounds, which is really good. But you would have to give up the onslaught cannon to get the flamer.
Yeah.
So, yeah, okay. Yeah. All right. Okay, some other stuff, like, this isn't a complete list. I think this is things that we have personally noticed that we're interested in. Samael going down 15 points to 130 is really nice, especially with the change to the way devastating wounds work. I'm actually kind of more into Samael now than the old Bite Captain, because the Bite Captain, that Thunderhammer hits on 3s, y'all, not 2s, which is really sad. If you can oath the moment the thing you're trying to fight, then it works really well, but if not, then you can't. And Samael also has, so when he's got the Black Knights with him, he has a lot of anti-vehicle efficacy. And when he doesn't have the Black Knights, and he also has anti-infantry efficacy, because he goes in at strength 6 and with a -3 2 damage sustained hits 2 weapon, just picks up big squads of stuff. I did 6 attacks last night to a Lichguard squad and hit wounded 9 times.
Nice.
Into Lichguard, which are -1 to wound. So, and Samael, another thing to remember is the Epic Challenge stratagem is a real good choice for him because he can get precision and just knock their little heads right off. So you can choose to assign the wounds to the characters. So, and
he gives advance and charge to the whole squad.
Oh God, I forgot about that last night. Oh my God, and not that it really came up, but yeah, that's true. But that's only when he personally is leading.
Yes.
So if he's by himself after his dice, it doesn't work anymore. But yeah, and he's got a lot of value for 130 points. I think that him coming down from 145 to 130 takes him from a solid buy to like a really good deal. Like 145, he was good. 130, he's priced to move. So along the same lines, the Black Knights are down 5 points. So 110 points for 3 Black Knights, 130 for Samael. 240 points for a small, tight, anti-vehicle, anti-infantry package that can advance and charge. And that big plasma cannon shouldn't be ignored. It's real good. So yeah, I think that little group is really spicy, especially if you're playing on tables that are appropriately dense and they can't get hit from long range. That's real good. So, all right, just because we know Alan's listening, talk about those command squads, those Deathwing command squads.
Oh yeah, they dropped in points, and the Black Knight squad also went down points. Regular Terminators went down in points. So we're gonna maybe see some more Terminators. The Ravenwing Knights or the Deathwing Knights did not go down in points, and I think it's important to notice the things that didn't change at all, because that's telling us that whatever people were doing with them, they're okay with. So like people running the
That's
big
what they want. Yeah.
blobs of Deathwing Knights, that did not get punished. Big blobs of Hellblasters did not get punished. So those are things that are within the theme of what's allowed to be played or what's being
So
encouraged to be played. They don't want to punish us for doing that. So I think that's just as important to look at as all these ups and downs. Is some stuff stayed the
yeah.
same, even though we know it's getting played. So we'll just keep playing that until they decide that it's not cool anymore.
So
But yes, yeah, so,
the Deathwing command squad went down 15 points for 5, 30 points for 10. That's a lot. That's gonna like over the course of 3 units, that basically gets you another unit of something else. That's a unit of intercessors to sit on backfield objectives. That's almost a unit of
Exaction
infiltrators to
Squad. Oh
screen.
wait.
Whoa, wait, look, like the exaction squad. Come on, whatever. But like, um, honestly, I'm a fan. Like the Vindicare assassin at 85 is or 80. Sorry, it's 80 now. Is really
That's
good
good.
because if you have problems with big squads that like I played against that Krieg squad where they just keep coming back to life and have a 4-up invul save. Guess what solves that problem? A Vindicare. Pop that stupid little psyker's head. Right? Pop, gone. Right? Problem with Lich Guard with a 5-up Feel of Pain. Technomancer. Pop, gone. Right? So, yeah.
I
At
love it.
80, yeah. And so you get enough points with that, across 3 10-man command squads to do that. So, also, the Talon Master is 105 points.
That's a big drop from what he was, because we were talking,
Yeah,
he was over 200
he
at one point, wasn't he?
well in ninth edition he was close. He was 170 or 180, right? But
Yeah,
he was 115. And the Talon Master, like if you are wanting to play, I think there's a way to play a good Ravenwing list. Um, with a couple of Talon Masters and a bunch of speeders. We'll have to see once the speeders change, but like that's another list I plan on playing at some point. But the fact that the Talon Master gets all that free movement is really nice. And it gives more cover to everybody around him, and just there's a lot of utility the Talon Master brings, and it has a 16-inch move, right? So 16-inch move, and you can advance him, right? And he'll generate behind enemy lines. He'll get engaged. He'll get investigate signals. Right? He'll do a lot of interesting stuff like that for you. At 105 points, it's pretty cheap. So,
yep.
all right. Impulsors went down 10 points to 85 points for the other green wing faces out there. Once again, that's really cheap. So they're making some big moves with a lot of the points on your just staple units. So Hellblasters didn't change, which means, as you said, I think it's a good point to observe. They're okay with the price on the Hellblasters. 250 points for 10 is expensive, but it's a really good, strong squad that does a lot, right? So, okay. Any other point changes that we wanted to talk about? The Gladiator Lancer went up 15 points to 160, which it's worth, I think. What do you think?
I know I've always run the Valiant because I like the Melta, but I went and looked at what makes the Lancer specials. It has a bunch of free rerolls built in on itself, and so in the game with less
And
rerolls,
that gun has crazy range and very reliable damage.
yep,
Right.
yep.
2 shots with a free hit, wound, and damage reroll, which is nice. So
Something that didn't get a point change is interesting is the Whirlwind. It's now aggressively pointed compared to a Devastator or Dissolution squad. It's 50 points less. Definitely has less output, but it still pings things. And then here's the deal, Heath, with the little hail strike we were talking about earlier. You can deep strike the hail strike in behind somebody's lines, ping something and then shoot it with the whirlwind. So now the whirlwind's at -3, and then you take the one off for the indirect, unless you use the ignore indirect stuff that, as much as you can. But you can still, basically, you can ignore the some of the punishment for that
Yeah.
with the hail strike. So
Well,
that's where like you have some balance in it.
if you're trying to do that, honestly, the standard pattern land speeder with a heavy bolter or a multi melta is like 85 points, I think, and it does that. If it can see something, everything in your army that has blast gets basically +1 to hit and ignores cover. So it effectively it offsets the penalty of the indirect fire, right? So that's really nice. And land speeders are 80 points. It doesn't even have to shoot it and hit it. It just has to be able to see it. And remember, that thing can deep strike. So there you go.
Oh, something else that got cheaper by 10 points? Blade Guard Vets. And I just
really?
They dropped 10 points and for 3, and I sent 6 of them into Canis Rex at the GT with oaths, and they went in by themselves because the Lion failed the 6-inch charge twice. So they went in on their own, and they dropped him from full health down to like 2 wounds.
I think that
It was awesome.
I think that they're a really good target for the honor the chapter for the +1 to wound and additional point of AP, because their weapons are -2 AP, which kind of but yeah. And if you run them with a Judiciar, they're terrifying. They're really good. So I might have to make a Dark Angels close combat thing. Anyway, all right. More on that later. Whatever.
Add it to the
okay.
list.
It's on. God dang it, Paley. Okay. All right. So anyway, so I think that is most of the point changes we wanted to talk about. Because otherwise we could, But the Outriders are cheaper too. Good lord, right? And Sternguard are cheaper. Okay, yeah.
A lot of fun stuff got cheaper.
A lot of fun stuff got cheaper. So good for them. I think a lot of that stuff, like their point, like once again, you can fix some things with points. You can't fix other things with points. You couldn't fix Death Guard with points, right? You can't run Plague Marines like their guards with, right? So they got a whole new army rule and point drops. Anyway, so let's see. Okay, so you want to hear about this list I've been running?
Oh yeah, let's hear what data slate in action. Live.
All right, so so this is basically the list I had. Whoops. It was, if I can find the right one in Battle Scribe. Not that one. Yeah, basically this one. Basically. Nope, not that one. Okay, so anyway, I had Azrael, Samael, the Apothecary Biologus, and a Primaris Librarian. Right? Okay. And the Apothecary Biologus has Bolter Discipline, so obviously this is a Gladius detachment. Then I had 2 squads of Hellblasters, a Land Raider Redeemer, a Repulsor, sorry, we need to start this little part over again because I think I'm reading the wrong list. It's
That's all right.
Let's see. Okay, God damn it, where'd it go?
Don't worry, I did the same thing in the last month's podcast where I read off my list and realized it wasn't my whole list because as I was looking through my pictures and editing them, I was noticing I had more models on the board than what I talked about. And I'm like, wait, did I cheat through that whole tournament? And I had to go back and look. I'm like, oh no, I just didn't read the whole list. Okay.
I was just wrong, yeah. So, all right, I'll show you. This is the list I played on. Okay, so I played this list Wednesday night into Knights. See, I can't find it exactly in Battle Scribe because I had to modify it when the new points came out. But so it was Azrael, a captain on bike with a Thunderhammer, the Primaris Librarian, and the Apothecary Biologus. And then I had 2 squads of Hellblasters, 10-man, 6 aggressors, Land Raider Redeemer, Repulsor, Black Knights. Then I had a Thunderstrike and 5 infiltrators and a attack bike. And that was it. That was 1995, I think. And that list worked really well. The infiltrators screened out stuff. The attack bike turned out to be really useful for doing actions at 55 points. It could zoom around and we drew the ritual, so we just move and spawn and make a new objective. The aggressors did crazy aggressor things, right? So they went and just blob, and they almost killed a Dominus Knight. And the Hellblaster, one of the squads of Hellblasters finished it off. So I was starting Azrael's Hellblaster squad on the board and the Primarius Hellblaster squad in the Repulsor, because that way I just get the CP. And it was really effective. It worked really well. I did the thing I keep doing and I continue to do, and I forgot last night after swearing I wouldn't do it, was forget that Hellblasters can shoot when they die.
No.
So yeah. Anyway, the captain on bike kind of whiffed when he got to charge into an armature, but I killed a Dominus class knight and almost a full armature on turn 1 with 1 Hellblaster, a Redeemer, and the aggressors, right? And then on turn 2, I killed 3 more armatures, right? And just did some good objective play, and it list worked great, right? The end of the game, he had 1 armature on 1 wound and 1 that was relatively healthy. Oh, and he had outflanked one of his knights with Mysterious Guardian, so he had a Dominus Valiant come in with that stupid giant flamer gun. So he had that thing down on 8 wounds, and then an armature that also deep struck. And then I had most of my probably half to 3/4 of my Hellblasters left, and the aggressors, half the aggressors, and that was about it. I lost Azrael to a Vindicare, but yeah, list worked really well. It just cut its way through armatures like they were butter. I was able to play the mission a lot better than he was. So I was like, this list has some legs. I'll play it again. The data slate comes out. That list becomes all of a sudden 75 points cheaper.
Nice.
So what I did was I changed to the following list, right? And please don't try and reconstruct the points from the last one to the points from this one, because I made some other changes too. But so I've got the same, basically the same characters, but I've got Azrael, the Abilogus Apothecary, the Librarian. Then now I've got Samael and a Talon Master. All right. Then I've got the aggressors, the 2 squads of Hellblasters, the Redeemer, the Black Knights, the Repulsor, the Thunderstrike, and a squad of Scout Snipers. And this list also worked really well. It was able to. I went second into Necrons, and it was the usual, the Lichguard blob, the Warrior blob, and then the Hexmark Destroyer. We call it the Gloctopus.
Yep.
And then the Silent King. So there's a really interesting interaction between those 2 models. If you give the Hexmark this piece of warrior called the Sovereign Coronal, it makes everything within 6 inches of it count as if it has a leader attached. So basically it's +1 to hit. And the Silent King gives everything within 6 inches of him reroll 1s to hit and reroll 1s to wound with ranged weapons. So basically his whole army, so his Doomsday Arc and the heavy destroyers and everything is all hitting on 2s, rerolling 1s to hit. Wounding on 2s, rerolling 1s to wound. Just crazy good output. But so I lose the Thunderstrike, and the Land Raider gets down to 4 wounds on turn 1. And then everything pushes forward, and I get some So this is a Dawn of War deployment. Everything pushes forward. We're playing the servo schools, so I start kicking the servo school, the middle objectives towards him, and then wipe out the warrior squad. With the aggressors, the 2 characters to the left, I charge the characters, punch them to death. He's pretty disheartened by that because that warrior squad has basically never died. Uh, so into that warrior squad, so each of those aggressors has 3 shots that are twin linked. That's 18 shots. Okay, whatever, right? But they have a D6 blast fragstorm cannon or fragstorm grenade launcher, and so those fragstorm grenades, that unit is 6d6 plus 24 shots into the 20 plus man warrior squad. Holy crap! So,
Yeah.
um, and they're under storm of fire, and they're the closest eligible target, so it's at -2 AP. I had used shooting from Samael to kill his 2 crypto thralls that give him the 4-up feel no pain. Right, he just took it on that until they died, and then the rest of the shooting went through, killed everything down to his first character. He spent a CP to stand the character up. My guys walked in, punched him to death. Done. Like, holy crap, that was crazy. Because with Storm of Fire, those aggressors are lethal hit and sustained hitting on 5s. And under Oath of the Moment,
That's good.
I had so the Fragstorm grenades shot. I think I rolled like a 16 plus 24. They shot like 40 or 42 times. I can't remember, and they hit 65 times.
You.
Because sustained hits. Yeah, I was getting so. Anyway, it was the closest I've come to beating Necrons so far this edition. He just like, and there was it turned from what's usually I can't kill anything, I just get ground to pieces by the warrior blobs, right, to actually like being a good tactical game. And like he moved the unit of Tomb Blades onto one of the objectives. I overwatched it with Azrael's squad. Rolled a few 6s, they sustain into more, and then wipe out the unit of Tomb Blades. So then he had to commit and drop his little deep striking sniper things onto that objective, the death marks, right? And so then he had moved his Lich Guard towards the center, and so they were occluded from my right-hand squad of Hellblasters. So I had to either move to touch the objective and control it, or move to the center and see the Lich Guard. And I had to do both to win the game. So I chose to move to the right, I popped myself into the assault doctrine, moved to the center of the board, or moved to the right. The fact that the Hellblasters have assault as a keyword, I could still shoot with like 3/4 of them, and then charge the death marks, kill them, take the objective, start moving it. And we also had the one where once you own an objective, you own it, right? And so even if you're not on it, you could keep to move it with the servo skulls rule. And so then I was like, so he swung to my left and pushed and killed my repulsor and all that stuff. I actually got to use the repulsor's emergency combat embarkation where the Hellblasters got charged by the Lich Guard. They jumped back into the repulsor. The repulsor got charged by the Silent King and then destroyed. They jumped back out. Now they're battle shocked, which doesn't really matter for because you're Gladius. But yeah, so overall, interesting list. It's 2,000 on the nose. What I want to do is I'm considering going from the Redeemer back down to a Godhammer Land Raider to free up, I guess, 25 points, which would let me probably change to the 5-man scouts to a Vindicare, just because I really need something that can kill characters hard. And shooting strength 4 snipers into strength 5 -1 to wound characters, it just isn't getting it done.
I can see
and that. I'm considering dropping the Talon Master because with only the Thunderstrike to run around with him, he's having a hard time lone operating and going into something with a little more shoot. But anyway, so that's it's that aggressor squad or that aggressor unit is 200 points with a 55 point apothecary with a 25 point enhancement. So 280 points in a 260 point Land Raider, but holy crap, it does a lot of work.
That's
right?
Fun.
And that Land Raider is durable. It took 3-4 damage devastating wound hits to the face and didn't die. It was on 4 wounds. And it just, all right, move to the middle of the board, they jump out, off it goes. Right? And in that case, it's got what's its primary weapon? Flamestorm cannons. I don't care about being -1 to hit.
It's true.
so yeah. Anyway, Man, I really like the Landroid Redeemer. God, dang it. Maybe if I drop the. Okay, anyway. So that's where I'm at with that. I'm a little bummed because I think the data slate changes make the Lion less playable, which is a thing that I don't want to be true, but I think it is because you're gonna have to really be careful about how you get him in position, right?
Right.
And even then, lone operator is not a complete invulnerability. They just move something within 12 inches, and the Lion's gonna get it in the face. So yeah, but anyway, that's my experience so far.
I'm still going to take him to Tampa because I've waited too long for that model to not play with him now that I have him. So that's what's happening.
Cheers. Absolutely. Make sure you. So my recommendation for the Lion: get one of those copy weapon lieutenants.
Yep, I got him right here. I'm working on him.
There you go. Because and learn how to use that guy, right? And also maybe do your Phobos librarian with infiltrators or something so that you can create little zones where the Lion can go safely. That's probably a good play, but
yeah, and then my plan is to also put Shroud of. I can't remember if I pointed it in yet or not.
Shroud of Heroes
on the lieutenant. So the first time he dies, he just gets back up. So like if someone taps in just enough to kill him, but not the Lion, thinking, oh, he's dead. Now I can just shoot the Lion. It's like, nope, he's back, and now the Lion's protected again.
Oh, that's a really smart interaction. Oh wow, good for you. Yeah, because that's great because they move in, they activate, they kill them. So you need to move 2 units in within 12 inches in order to. Okay, yeah, that's smart. That's good job. So I guess next time I'm going to report on whether or not I ran this stupid list that you're talking about. Oh God, whatever. Maybe I'll do it. Maybe I'll do it for funsies. I don't know. Or 10 assault intercessor with Azrael and Blade Guard, and it's gonna suck because combat's not as good as it probably needs to be in 10th edition. But God, it'll be hilarious.
It'll be so
Azrael charging from the front. So,
oh yeah. All right, are we good then, Heath? Is that what we want?
I guess we're calling. I guess we're calling it. Yeah, it's a bonus episode, so we can leave the interactions and everything else till the next regularly scheduled episode, which will be in a couple weeks. It's usually like the end of September. Usually the end of the month.
Yep.
Yeah, so
give us a couple more weeks to get all the research in, get our hobby challenge finished. I got to compile all the comments, things like that. But we just didn't want to wait and let everybody else have their say and then us not have our say on the balanced data slate.
They're going to have their say.
Yeah, they're going to have their say, but we want to get our voice out there too. So thank you all for listening to this special bonus episode on the balanced data slate of the Path to Redemption, the Warhammer 40,000 Dark Angels podcast. As we mentioned, our next episode will be out towards the end of the month for our regular scheduled entertainment. So please subscribe, like, and comment below if you're watching us on YouTube or listen to us on your preferred podcasting service so you can catch that next episode or even be on it. And last but not least, we'd like to thank Purple Planet for the use of their music. Until next time, I'm Billy from Dank Wargaming.
Keep with Sable War Hawaii.
Stay loyal, Angels.